Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
The Stain of Time, Version 2, More Than a Trent Reznor Biography by Remanon Last. I'm Paris, and this is Chris.
I got a time stain all over my shirt, Paris. It's just, I was trying to get it to, wash out, but, time, it stains really, really bad.
Yeah, man. Time is so hard to wash out. You gotta get fucking, what's that guy, that Billy guy from, the Afterlife? He can get out those time stains.
You can't wash out time, turns out. There's not enough OxyClean in the fucking world.
No, but Billy Mays has, mystical OxyClean from, beyond the veil, so, he can get those time stains out. But,
Billy Mays here with time-reversing OxyClean. Just eat it. That's what those Tide Pods... I was trying to send you a message from beyond the grave to eat Tide Pods. That's how you gain immortality.
Yep. So, Terrible Book Club telling you to eat detergent. No, please don't. Anyway. So, this book is a very specific kind of literature that I've never seen before, actually.
Literature's a strong word.
Yeah, well... So it's an unauthorized biography of a famous musician, but that's not all. So not only does Miss Remanon Last discuss...
By the way, that before you hop in, I just want to say, is that name made up? That's
a
made up name,
that can't be a real fucking name,
because
but I couldn't find anything.
She switched 2 letters of a Digimon's name, and
Wait,
that's
what?
her first name. Yeah, there's a Digimon. You know what a Digimon is? It's kind of like a Pokemon.
It's a Pokemon, right?
But from the digital world, you see. It's a different series or whatever. But there's a Digimon called Renamon, and I'm like, this is some furry shit, right? She switched the letters around and used the last name Last because she couldn't think up of a last name, so she just used the word Last.
Yeah, dude, I tried. So I did a little bit of research on the author, or not really. I just Googled her a little bit. I didn't really lend a lot of time to this because I was my first thought is no fucking way is Remanon Last a real name. Get out of here. So I look her up, and all I know is that she moved to Bulgaria a few years ago. She's originally from, I think, the UK. And
that's what the about the author part said.
Said what?
That she moved to Bulgaria. That she's from the
and all I could find under her name was her blog that she doesn't update that regularly, and pictures of her fucking cats. I don't know. She has a Facebook and shit, but I'm not gonna stalk this woman. Whatever. And I don't know. She writes a bunch of cookbooks about Bulgarian food. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot.
A big Nine Inch Nails fan?
Oh, man. This lady is she must be the biggest Nine Inch Nails fan. Why else would she, or biggest Trent Reznor fan. So, I was once an 11 to 14-year-old goth girl, and I totally understand. I love Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is cool. I might be a metalhead now, but I have, there's no shame in liking other kinds of music. Nine Inch Nails got some really good shit. I will never forget seeing the music video for Happiness and Slavery. If you've never watched it, you should watch it unless you're really squeamish, in which case don't. I don't know, Nine Inch Nails made a really big impression on me, when I was a kid. So, I understand somebody liking it, but this is, crazy. So it's an unauthorized biography where I think she just kind of did what I did when I was looking up her, just kind of Googled Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, because all the information in this book is easily available online, and the whole thing kind of reads like a Wikipedia article. I mean,
let me give you the short description for those that might not understand what this book is. Imagine you took the Wikipedia articles for Trent Reznor, quantum mechanics, probably Wicca, and then like smashed your own like Victorian short story by like a shitty Edgar Allan Poe imitator in between it, like a mortar paste kind of thing to smash together your bricks of Wikipedia articles, and you have this book.
Yeah, so this book is not just, as the title indicated, it is more than a Trent Reznor biography. So you kind of have the biography, and then in between chapters of the biography and like the history of Nine Inch Nails, you have these excerpts from The Demon Sigmund.
The Daemon, please. The Daemon?
Demon. I'm just going to say demon because saying diamond is like saying that's stupid. So this lady thinks that she communed with a demon during a Winter's Nights ritual, which is, it's basically just like a winter solstice thing for people who are pagan. I think people who follow like Asatru and like other pagan faiths or whatever, you know, it's like just, like a winter solstice ritual.
It's for Christmas. It's just, come on, man. It's a winter holiday.
Yeah, it's not really, but yeah, sort of. I mean, that's like the closest thing you can come up with these days. And, but I don't understand how the thing she describes where she like, I don't know, Chris, how would you describe the, thing she did to like the phone call she made? Like, how did she make that demon phone call?
So I kind of read through the first part of this book, like not understanding quite what she was getting at first, because she mentions, okay, at the top, it's like a short little thing about how she got in contact with the Daemon Sigmund by... I kind of can't believe what I read, almost started questioning myself. She had some sticks with letters engraved on them in like a tripod format, and there was a pendulum in between them, and somehow reading the swings of the pendulum, she got letter by letter a transcription from the daemon. I don't understand if she was like poking the pendulum to get it started, if there's a special way to hit the pendulum to make it move.
Dude.
Are you just waiting for natural earthquake reverberations to do it letter by letter? See, like, is it just, how would it always end up in words?
Dude,
it doesn't make sense that would...
All it says that she had like a tripod. She suspended a ring from a tripod and it enabled it to swing freely towards letters. And I don't know, she then talks about how the pendulum is a favorite tool of New Agers and may be regarded as both a receiver and transmitter of information. She goes on to say that its power is scarcely understood and that its function continues to defy scientific explanation, which is not true. I mean, it's like just fucking Google pendulums is a huge Wikipedia article that's just like, here's the science of pendulums and how they work. And it's like, lady, no one is confused by a fucking pendulum.
The mysteries of basic physics figured out by people thousands of years ago.
Yeah, really. And she's like, oh, oil and pharmaceutical companies employ its use, and even the military utilizes pendulums to pinpoint enemy tunnels. And I was really interested in that part because I was like, what the fuck?
Can you imagine like a 4-star general like sitting in his tent with all his like commanders and shit, and they're like, okay, what are we gonna do next, general? What are we gonna hit next? And he just pulls out a little tripod and like gently places it on the map, and there's a ring in the middle, and he just gently
blows on it. Just blows on it, gives it a kiss.
Just gently blows on it, flicks it once or something, and just watches it like swing towards the letter like A and then L, and then it goes Al Qaeda immediately or something.
No, so I was like, okay, that's kind of a wild claim to make. And so I had a really hard time finding confirmation that those things were still happening with pharmaceutical companies and the military using pendulums and like
still happening? So accepted that it happened before?
Well, because I was like, where did she pull this information from? And I only found like one book that talked about it, and it was a book about the magic of pendulums. So like, I kind of think that it's just like an Ouroboros of bullshit. Like, this fucking guy wrote about magical pendulums, and she's like, oh yeah, well, magical pendulums, right? And it's just, yeah, I don't So I don't think that it's true, is what I'm saying. If anybody else knows if it is, please tell us, because that would be really interesting. But I don't think it's true. Or
I refuse to believe that every time she knocked this ring around, it made coherent words. So I'm guessing it made out like strings of consonants and vowels that she interpreted into certain words or something.
Yeah, and so basically, yeah. So like, I don't think anyone else is using dowsing or pendulums. Like, I don't think the military and pharmaceutical companies are. I could believe that like some charlatan convinced some part of the military or some pharmaceutical guy to like let them try it out, but I don't think it was like in practice in either of those industries. So anyway, she talks about like how magical pendulums are, and yeah, she gets this story from this demon Sigmund, and she's like, oh, and Sigmund told me the guy's name was Zero, and from the sprinkling of cryptic clues, it was clear to me that Zero was Trent Reznor. And I'm just like, what? Like,
there's
what the fuck?
Absolutely no way to connect that besides like a handful of lyrics at one point, and like his uncle shared a name or something with someone in the demon story.
Yeah, because the demon story is about a bunch of, I'm not sure if they're from France or Canada or they immigrated here from France, but they're a French-ish family, and Reznor's family is apparently French, whatever. That's like the only connection. Yeah, like you said, there's a point where she's like, oh, but these lyrics from this song, like, yeah, lady, like, lyrics can fucking mean almost anything. Like, no, it's, unless his lyrics were like, I was a French child, like, I don't think that's what happened. So
yeah, like she really, because it sounds like we're skipping to the end here, because this all is explained at the very end of the book. The first like 90 to 100 pages is literally just a Wikipedia article about Nine Inch Nails with some like choice edgy Trent quotes sprinkled throughout. And that's about it for the whole book until the very end, where she starts trying to connect not even dots. There's like a single point, maybe.
Dude, yeah.
That
she's
like
really
scribbled
grasping
a bunch of lines over.
Yeah, and so anyway, this lady's whole thing is that like, you know, she obviously, you know, believes in the continuation of consciousness after death, and like, you know, believes that people can be reincarnated, and that's what this book is about. How Trent Reznor is the reincarnated soul of Zero, who used to be a French kid in a past life or some bullshit. And I just
supposed to be. Which French kid was he supposed to be? Because the French
I think he was supposed to be Claude, right? He was supposed to be Claude.
I don't know, because they were written in such a confusing way. I swear to God, sentence to sentence, it was like tenses changed and like scenery was changed. Like I could not. The causality was like completely broken. I couldn't tell if they were in chronological order or not. All I got was that there was someone named Claude, someone named Andre, someone named Mimi, someone named Etienne, and that they all liked Mimi, or none of the like. They were mad about or jealous or something, and then someone died, and then that's the end. I don't.
So it starts like the Claude and French people story starts like kind of ad media res, like it starts like in the middle of some bullshit, and you can tell like Claude murdered his girlfriend and their baby while she was still pregnant. I don't know, because he's just like a really fucked up guy, and then it like zooms back to his childhood, but she gives these pieces of the story in you know, it's all broken up because it's like layered with the biography of Trent Reznor. So it's like you get the story on one side of the page and then like the Trent Reznor thing on the other side of the page, sort of. Yeah, so like Chris was saying, it does at one point. I remember at first I found it coherent, and I almost thought like, well, maybe she should just publish this story about like Claude and Etienne and stuff like as its own thing. I feel like some people would read it like, oh, this, you know, overly romantic and dramatized, I don't know, fucking soap opera shit. Like, people love that, you know, and it wasn't written that poorly, and I was like, okay. But then, yeah, like,
it was written extremely poorly. No, hold on, no. I could literally not keep track of the causality of events in the way this thing was written. Within the paragraph, not even like, you know, because it was like in between chapters of the Trent biography, but it's not even that. Just like sentence to sentence, I felt like I couldn't keep track of where anything was happening at what time and who was doing what to who, because there was a lot of use of the he pronoun when there's many male people in a scene at a time. So I don't know who was doing what to who. Someone slept in a bed with a dead Mimi at one point, and that's like the very Edgar Allan Poe ending.
Yeah, Claude killed Mimi and their unborn child, and then his brother or friend comes in and just like burns them alive. I don't know, he burns him. He's like, oh yeah, he totally killed her, huh? Oh well, time to set the house on fire, and just quietly sets the house on fire and leaves. And like
very stealthily.
That made me laugh really hard, even though it was supposed to be this like really dramatic and sad, depressing scene. I was like, that's hilarious. Like, you just like, oh no, my friend murdered his girlfriend and their unborn child. Instead of, I don't know, calling the police, dragging him away, doing anything, he goes, oh, I'm gonna let him have a minute, and then just sets the house on fire, and it says he walks slowly out too. He just like takes his time.
You want to be a really cool guy, right? Because you got to walk out of the fire all cool. Like, also, I think Claude was dead at that point too. So I somehow got that impression.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he was already dead, and he was like, I'll just set everything on fire. Which, like, I don't understand why.
That's how you deal. Anytime you see a body, you just set the whole place on fire to deal with it.
So that's like the end of that story. Not that any of you really give a shit, but that's the end of that story.
There's nothing else that happens. Like, Andre takes
and somebody's
music
gay.
lessons.
Somebody's gay. Who is gay?
I don't know.
Was it Estienne?
Do you see what I mean? Like, you can't tell who did the gay lover thing with who, because the pronoun he is used in very syntax inappropriate ways. Andre was taking music lessons from someone, and Claude was jealous. That's all I could ever hold on to. Really.
Yeah, like, because it starts kind of with like, oh man, Claude totally killed his girlfriend, and then like as the story progresses, you kind of go back in time, all the way to the beginning, and then it sort of does a Tarantinoing on you. You know, it starts like 75% of the way through the story, it goes back to 1%, and then you progress until you get to the end again.
But what was the progression of the middle part, except like Andre took music lessons? Like, that's all. Like, Andre took music lessons, and then they burned alive. I don't see the connection.
There's a part in the middle where the kids get older, and then people marry. Somebody marries Mimi, and then somebody else goes to war, and then while he's at war, he gets real gay with another guy, and then he kills himself because he's gay, and then the kid he was gay with comes back. I don't know.
So why do I give a fuck about the music lessons, Paris? Like, what is...
Well, the reason that's included is because Claude was a musician and had a talent with the piano, and so did Trent Reznor. So you see, they are the same person because only one person has ever played the piano as a child.
Yeah. Does that mean I am a reincarnation of some other musician?
No, you're also Zero and Trent Reznor. Oh. Congratulations.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. I'll collect those royalties now, please.
So, like we said, the connections she tries to make between these two things are very strange. I really think that they should have been published separately, if published at all. If she wanted to do this writing thing.
Who wants just the Wikipedia article about Trent Reznor and then the Wikipedia article about quantum mechanics? Not even the whole article on quantum, like the top paragraph summary.
No, that's not even. No, we're not even. We're getting to that, but no, I'm saying like she should have published this like overwrought kind of romantic gothic horror thing on its own, and not.
But that would be like 20 pages.
Well, what I'm saying is she could have fleshed it out into a full story. Like, I feel like she could have done that. It would have been fine. But connecting these two, I don't know. I can't understand. Like, she's thinking she's communing with a demon on another plane. And frankly, I don't think that happened. I think that
sorry. Whoa, slow down, Paris. The skepticism is a little bit too much on this one.
Well, the funny thing is that, like, I think I found something where she wrote, like, yeah, I think in her blog she wrote something about like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have published those things together and said it was like a demon or something. I don't know. I think she had some regrets about it.
Was it like a marketing ploy? Like, hey, if people who want to buy Trent Reznor's biography will get to read my shitty Edgar Allan Poe story at the same time?
No. I think she believes in this stuff because she's like pagan and believes in it. So she states in the book that she follows Teutonic magic, which all I could figure out was that's like has to do with astral projection and astral travel and different planes of existence. And she also says she is a student of the like what was it, the runic code or something?
I don't even
And
remember.
I was like, I don't even know what that is, and I tried to look it up, and all I could find was the was something called the like oh, she says she follows runic law, and I was like, what is that? And the only thing I could find is the rune codex that was discovered in Denmark around 1300, which is just like the first set of written Danish, like, Scandinavian laws, and I was like, why? What? I don't... But, I mean...
I only subscribe to ancient Scandinavian law. This is like a new level of sovereign citizen where, like, oh, there's gold fringe on your flag, therefore I only have to follow ancient Scandinavian law now, you guys.
Yeah, like...
Murder is fine as long as I pillage your house after.
Yeah, dude, I was so confused. But, I mean, clearly this must not be what she's talking about, but I did uncover some interesting stuff in reading about this rune codex. So, the rune codex actually has the first written musical notations ever written in Scandinavia. It was found on the rune codex. It's the earliest written evidence of secular music in Denmark.
And it turns out it's actually head like a hole. That's where she found the connection.
That's hilarious. I wish it was head like a hole. No, it's called Drømte min drømmene. It just means I dreamt a dream last night, and it's just like 4 lines about
that sounds like a Nine Inch Nails lyric to me. Come on.
Oh god, no, it's not. Yeah, and so that was a cool thing to find out, but I don't know. I mean, if she's really sitting here following laws from 1300, like, I'd love to know what her personal and social and, like, economic life is like, because that sounds just difficult.
Tries to pay for everything in goat all the time.
Yeah,
Need.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I need to sell you my daughter. Anyway, she says that 1997 was the worst year of her life. Her marriage fell apart. Her daughter and herself were hospitalized with, quote, mystifying and, quote, crippling illnesses. Probably fucking drinking lead or something, lady. Like, I don't trust you. You probably caused it yourself.
Use some ancient Scandinavian cooking techniques based on Scandinavian law, and then, turns out the Viking juice is just cockroaches and lead or something. I don't know.
So basically, this lady was depressed and ill, and her marriage crumbled, and she found solace in thinking she could talk to demons about Trent Reznor. And I mean, like, I can kind of sort of understand, like, the deep well of depression and how horrible that is, and, like, trying to crawl out of it, by any means necessary. But publishing those musings from that time, probably not the best idea. Yeah.
I still don't, like, I don't get how you get to the conclusion from I'm talking to this demon and it's telling me the story about these ancient French people, not ancient French people, but, like,
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think she must have done some, like, genealogy research on Reznor, because like I said, most of the stuff is just something you can find online, but some of the stuff, like, earlier than his grandparents and stuff, I was really surprised. And again, she could have just made this all up. Like, I don't fucking know. She talks how...
There's a very short bibliography at the end that I didn't bother to check up on, but it didn't seem like it had anything good. She
talks about how John Reznor made the journey from Germany to America as a redemptioner. It's kind of like an indentured servant, sort of. And then he married Rebecca and paid his debt, and then they settled in Northumberland County, and John and Rebecca had 6 children, and then they had 304 acres, and his great grandson is George Foster Reznor, who was, like, Trent Reznor's, I think, grandfather or something. Yeah, and I don't know, he grew up in Pennsylvania, and, like, yeah, it's just this, I don't know, yeah, it's like the genealogy of Trent Reznor. Like, who fucking cares? Like, I don't know. And then she talks about how Reznor's childhood was kind of shitty, but then it was kind of fine and normal, and he wanted to leave because his town was too normal. She makes some weird reference. She says that his staunchly Christian upbringing provided fertile ground, leading him to believe that possession was a distinct possibility and the Antichrist was always waiting in the wings. Rather than being repelled, however, Trent spent hours in front of the mirror, scouring his scalp, looking for the mark of the beast. I don't know if she was trying to make like an artistic statement, but I couldn't find anything about Trent rubbing his flesh off, looking for the mark of the beast.
What did you Google to look for that? I would like to know your search terms, please.
I think I literally just Googled, like, scour scalp Trent Reznor, mark of the beast Trent Reznor, and I couldn't find anything. I don't know. Very weird.
Maybe it was the demon telling her this? And also, like, I wonder if she ever tried to gain approval from Trent about if she contacted him for an interview or anything.
Oh, yeah. So she talks about how she tried to contact him and, like, his manager or label or whatever multiple times, and she was like, oh, he's just too busy. He never got back to me. No, he thought you were fucking crazy, lady. Like, apparently...
Hey, I'm trying to track your past lives. Perhaps
yeah.
I'm talking to this guy. He told me about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Also, she talks about, like, other celebrities claiming to have past lives, and I didn't realize it was this widespread of a phenomenon.
Yeah, I didn't look into that, and I wish I had, because she lists, like, everybody. Sorry, I'm
not everybody, but
scanning through this.
Elton John's in there, I think.
Steven Seagal? Was that right?
Oh, good.
Was it Steven Seagal?
I don't know. He seems like someone that would believe in past lives, though, for sure.
Yeah, Steven Seagal. Oh, yeah, some of the facts she, like, kind of fucked up were, like I said, like, the whole claiming that, like, pendulums were mysterious, like, no, they're not. And she's like, oh, and, you know, 9 Inch Nails, everyone's talked about, you know, what does the name mean, whatever. And she's like, well, no one really knows, but, you know, the nails that were used to crucify Christ were apparently 9 inches long, the nails used to seal coffins are 9 inches long, and the fingernails on the Statue of Liberty are also 9 inches long. Well, I fact-checked that shit. For your Christy nails for crucifixion, they usually required 8 to 12 inch long nails, so, like, maybe it's often reported as 9, but there's no real substantiation for
that's
that
just one of those, like,
thing.
school time rumors that's like the Marilyn Manson getting his own rib removed to suck his own dick thing. Like,
yeah,
it was one of those things.
Yeah. So, but, like, a lot of Christian sites and stuff will be like, yeah, they were 9. No, there's no archaeological evidence to suggest that they were all measured out to 9 inches. They were typically 8 to 12 because they had to be long enough to go through fucking human flesh and hold you there. Coffin nails, so this is funny. The search for the length of coffin nails was made difficult by the recent fashion trend of coffin-shaped artificial nails. So I was kind of just mired in, like, a bunch of ladies with fake nails that look like coffins, and it was really confusing. So fuck you, fucking fashion trends, god damn it. But
what about sneezing nails?
What?
Coffin nails.
Oh my god, jeez. Wow, Chris, just go. I'm gonna fucking nail you into a coffin after that joke. Jesus Christ.
Shit, alright. Jeez, just try to add some levity to this.
But anyway, it does seem like coffin nails are typically maybe 8 to 9 inches, but again, I had a really hard time because ladies fucking fingernails. Statue of Liberty nails, totally not 9 inches. According to official park statistics, they are 13 by 10 inches.
Come to Terrible Book Club for your Statue of Liberty fingernail length facts.
Hey man, I learned. You know what? I want to thank this lady. So thank you, Remanon Last, and this fucking book, because I actually learned a lot of fucking fun, weird shit doing research on this crap. So thanks for writing this pile of garbage.
You'll be a smash success on weird, extra specific episodes of Jeopardy.
Yeah, I'm already pretty good at Jeopardy. It's only when they do sports stuff that I'm not good. Oh, yeah, and then there was this really cool story she told that was actually true about how when Trent was filming a video for... What song was it? God damn.
A song?
For Down in It, I think. For the Down in It song. They were, like, filming, and they were trying to get a specific shot, so they tied the camera to a balloon, and it just floated away, and... They couldn't get it, and it was found 200 miles away in a field by a farmer, and then he brought it to the police. The police thought it was a snuff film. The FBI also thought it was a snuff film and spent several months trying to locate the victim, who was Trent, whose body had been decomposing for weeks. And so and then they even went so far as to issue ID photos for TV programs. Then finally, like, Trent and his manager went down to the FBI and were like, guys, it was a fucking music video.
Nice try, FBI.
And the FBI was like, no, you have to prove to us that you're alive. And he was like, okay, I'm physically here. And, like, here's my birth certificate, here's all my IDs. And they were like, okay, fine. I guess it's not a snuff film. But, like, apparently the Down in It video looks so real that the police and FBI thought it was an actual snuff film. And that was all true. I couldn't believe it. I was so tickled when I was like, wow, that's really funny. You're like, oh, man, I gotta get this shot. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God. It's going up. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Someone get a carrier pigeon.
And then a week later, the FBI is at your door because they thought you killed yourself.
Yeah, like,
there's a lot of discussion about, like, the edginess of Trent's videos and stuff in this thing, and, like, I do think Nine Inch Nails, and I guess Trent specifically, have had a very good ability to kind of, like, ride that edginess edge per se, where, like, it's not quite cringy enough to be lame, but sometimes, like, decades away, it feels that way.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been a Nine Inch Nails fan for a while, especially when I was a teenager. That shit was dope.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I was saying, 11 to 14-year-old little goth Paris, man, did she love Nine Inch Nails? But like
that was 12 to 16, perhaps, goth Chris.
Yeah, I got on the metal train pretty early. But I still like Nine Inch Nails. But like this, reading this book made me go back and listen to Pretty Hate Machine, because I hadn't listened to that album in full in fucking over a decade. Almost 2 decades at this point, and so I was like, oh man. So I put it on and I was like, oh, some of these songs are so good, and then I was like, oh, some of these songs are really fucking bad and lame. Like, this is weird. Yeah, it's like peaks and valleys, man. Yeah, peaks and valleys. Yeah. Like, but
okay, well, here's a happy topic. What's your favorite Nine Inch Nails song?
I don't know. I've got a few. Like, I love Head Like a Hole. I love Wish. I love Happiness and Slavery. Closer's great. I know it got really overdone, but Closer's really
Closer
good.
is like a real cringe fest now, honestly, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's like listening to those songs in a different time and place and at a different age. It's like, yeah. Like if somebody put that out now, it would be laughable. But because of the climate and the time at which it came out, it was really great. I don't know, and so it's I mean,
I definitely listened to it a ton when I was a teenager, feeling like really cool and shit listening to it.
You're like, yeah, I'm listening to somebody talk about sex and he's saying fuck, yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's 12 to 16 Chris to a T right there.
Dude, I think that was most people. Like, yeah, I felt the same way. But like I said, I really think the impression that the Happiness and Slavery video made on me was like, oh man. Like, all right, so if you've never seen that video, it's basically he got like a good, like a not a famous actor, but like an actor to be this naked man on this machine where he gets like sexually assaulted and tortured, and then he's eventually fed into a machine and ground up, and it's just like shot really well. It's all in black and white, I think, and it was just like the most fucked up thing I had seen that was like tied to music at that point in my life, and I was just like, damn, that was fucking ridiculous. Like, holy shit, I've never seen anything that, that, like... And I'd never seen anything that had pushed boundaries like that in relation to music videos, I guess. So, yeah.
For me, that was kind of the Closer video, which was, like, its own surreal kind of, like, thing that was happening. Like, Trent's, like, spinning around a circle, and there's, like, weird, like, imagery and faces and everything.
Yeah.
The one Nine Inch Nails video I always really liked was the March of the Pigs one, where it's just him in this band room, because it's, like, really just fucking raw rock star energy shit happening there. My favorite...
That's how Wish
Nine Inch Nails song. Yeah, my favorite Nine Inch Nails song, period, is probably Terrible Lie, actually. Because,
oh, yeah, Terrible Lie is good. And it also, it's really good for shitty memes, too.
Yeah. Going to, like, Catholic school for 12 years, that was, like, my ultimate, like, yeah, rebellion. So, yeah, I don't give a shit about God. I don't care about God at all. Yeah, it's a lie.
Oh, wow, that voice is great.
Yeah, that's my edgy teen Chris.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I made a note about, apparently Al Jurgensen, he's the frontman from Ministry. It talks about how he, collaborated with him on a side project called 1000 Homo DJs. I thought that was such a great name.
It is a pretty good name.
Oh, it's so dumb. Yeah, I mean, it definitely did make me go like, oh man, some of this shit was, like you said, pretty like, oh boy, that seems dumb. And like, but whatever. Like I said, things out of context always seem kind of stupid. Oh yeah, there's this part about like Axl Rose being a huge fan, and then they like toured with Guns N' Roses, and I was like, did that actually happen? What? Like Nine Inch Nails and Guns N' Roses does not make any sense to me.
Maybe, and sort of like the transgressive nature of both bands. You know, Guns N' Roses has a history of like crazy stage shows and like dramatic shit happening, and apparently Nine Inch Nails had a little bit of that up front as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually never seen Nine Inch Nails, and the last time they sold tickets, actually not that long ago here in Boston, you had to go to the box office to buy them. So there was a line literally all day. People were there from like 4 in the morning until
my
like...
brother almost went, and he like decided against it last second.
No, my friend Liz went. She stood in line all day and then didn't get tickets, but somebody she knew ended up being ahead of her and got them for her, so that was cool. My friend Laura has tickets too, and I really want to go, but it's probably going to cost like thousands of dollars at this point to get a ticket, so...
Yep.
I guess I'm just gonna die never having seen them, which kind of blows. I'd like to see Trent and, although, I don't know, current Trent is like, I don't know, man, I was talking to Chris about this earlier, but like, if you look at a current picture of Trent Reznor, so 2018 Trent Reznor, and he was in the news today actually talking about how shitty Trump is, so good for you, Trent. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of weird Nine Inch Nails popping up in our lives before this. Like, there was that Trump thing. I watched an episode of Westworld today where the episode description was a lyric from Hurt.
Weird.
Haunting me a little bit. It's that Damon, I guess. Maybe if I need to like set up a fucking whatever tripod dowsing thing.
Yeah, and like, if you look at a current day picture of Trent Reznor, it's as if Trent Reznor and David Duchovny are just merging into one person. Like, they're both becoming Trent Duchovny, or like, I don't know.
That's what the song "The Becoming" is about. Actually, it's just it's a future prediction of he's going to turn into an extremely handsome man.
It's just so weird because they're both starting to look like the other one, and that's strange because I've never thought that they looked anything alike. But then again, I'm a fan of like strung out on heroin, beautiful, skinny, pale, long-haired Trent Reznor. That's like my preferred version. The modern version is healthier though, so I have to support that because it's kind of fucked up to be like, no, I want you to be on drugs and dying. Like, no, I want you to be healthy.
Modern Trent looks like he could cuddle me really, really well, so I much prefer that version.
Yeah, he would snug the hell out of you.
Very strong looking.
Yeah, and what the fuck is this shit? I don't know. I made a bunch of notes and now I'm like, I don't remember what.
You had like a couple interesting notes about how you didn't know that he scored some video games and movies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. He did the music for like, was it Doom?
Quake. He did it for Quake.
Quake, which I didn't know, and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Yeah, he
scored a bunch of movies. He did The Social Network, which I've never watched, but I heard it was a pretty good score. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was, he and David Lynch were bros because Lynch liked what he was doing, and he liked what Lynch was doing, and he and Manson contributed to music for, was it Lost Highway, I think? Yep. And I love David Lynch, although I do not love all of his films. I do love, like, Twin Peaks is one of my favorite things, and Kyle MacLachlan is also one of my favorite actors, and Lynch uses him a lot. Yeah, so even though he kind of plays the same character and everything, this is like, I love Steve Buscemi. It's one of my other favorites, but that's a tangent. Yeah, so Trent bought the house on, what is it, 10500 something Cielo Drive,
the Manson house.
Manson house.
Like, that's all you don't have to give the
and and he was like, it's not even there anymore. But he bought it, turned it into a studio, and like recorded some albums there, and he claimed like he didn't actually know that house was like infamous at all. That was the one he liked the most out of all the ones he was looking at the time. He's like, I don't know, it had a room that looked like it could be turned into a studio. Cool. But eventually Sharon Tate's like sister confronted him and was like, dude, what the fuck? You're profiting off of my sister's brutal murder. And he was like, you know what? You're right. Fuck this shit. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to glorify serial killers. Like, this shitty biography made me be like, yeah, man, I like you, Trent. like, I mean, I was a fan of his work and stuff, but I didn't know a whole lot about his life. But I don't know. It seems like he's a pretty all right dude.
Yeah, I wonder how he would respond to actually reading this book and being like, "What?
God,
I'm an entity from beyond called Zero."
Dude, I want him to read this. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna tweet the shit out of him and be like, "Dude, we read this ridiculous thing. You should also read it. It's not going to take a lot of your time. I gotta know. I gotta know.
Are
how
you sure
feel.
that will like awaken the spirit within him, and like then we'll get like Ultra Trent or something?
Oh my god. Oh, and then there was like all this weird conspiracy stuff about Tori Amos and Trent Reznor like maybe having a relationship or some kind of affair. And apparently like she came over one day when he was depressed and she tried to make him some chicken in the Manson house.
The sexiest of dinners.
But she put the chicken in the oven and it remained raw even after several hours.
Oh no, the omen.
And Remanon
It can't just be that the fucking gas line is broken or something.
And Remanon last begs us to wonder, was it a case of supernatural intervention? And I was like, oh yeah, those ghosts were like, fuck you, eat your ice chicken, you stupid mortals. Like, I was like, what?
Ooh, boo, your chicken won't cook.
Like,
you'll have to buy some chicken tendies outside.
Like what kind of fucking stupid ass ghost are you? Like, don't you have better things to do? Do you have better haunts to put on? Like,
no, apparently when you're like immortal forever, just like kind of fucking with everyone's food. Like, oh, your soup is cold because I blew on it with my ghost breath.
Like when you die and become a ghost, you just become a member of the Stooges. Like you're just like the 1 billionth Stooge. Like it's no longer 3 Stooges. It's like the 1,700,500,000 Stooges. and you become the latest member.
There's a lot of Stooges out there. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know, man. How many dead people? An uncountable number of dead people. Yeah, I don't know. More more French shit. I'm just scrolling through looking for my notes because...
How about where, like, the very loose sidebar to quantum mechanics is made as if that justifies reincarnation?
We'll talk about that.
We don't have anything else to talk about with this shit, so let's talk about it right now.
Hey, you know what? Trent's dog died because it jumped off of the balcony at the Columbus, Ohio Convention Center while he was playing because it wanted to see his master, and it fucking jumped to its death like an idiot.
That's like the saddest
I know.
thing.
I was so sad. I was like, dog, why are you so stupid? God damn it. Oh, dog, why do you not understand gravity? Fuck.
Okay, can we talk about the weird quantum mechanics part now?
No, I'm
after
almost
you drop that bummer?
Almost there.
That huge
there's
bummer?
also a note that Courtney Love... at first, they were cool because he saved her from being raped on a pool table or something. But then, I don't know, their friendship, like, didn't go so well. And she was like, she declared he was the father of her child. And I was like, was Courtney Love just running around declaring that, like, everyone was the father of that fucking kid? Like, I didn't really bother to look into that, but that was weird. Because I didn't even know that, like, they knew each other. I guess Nine Inch Nails and Hole, like, had played together. Yeah... Trying to see if there's anything before fucking oh my god, the lady that called AOL and was like, yeah, I'm Trent Reznor's wife, and they were like, okay, here's his password to everything. Yeah. That was a great story. Oh man,
social engineering didn't take that much back then.
Nah, AOL didn't have shit for security protocols. Apparently this lady named Amber Apple...
How do we know you're Trent Reznor's wife? He fucked me like an animal?
Oh,
that checks out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, her name was Amber Applebaum. And I don't know, she just, like, got into all of his shit. I mean, she ended up, getting found out and prosecuted. I don't know, Marilyn Manson wrote bad things about Trent in Marilyn Manson's autobiography, boo-hoo, whatever. I read that book, and I don't remember anything about Trent because I read it a long time ago. Oh yeah, there's this weird line in the French Kids story where it says, like you were saying, it does get confusing, and this was one of the points where I was really confused. It said that he felt the abiding pain of the one that had shared this love with his brother. And I was like, is she trying to say that, like, Claude and Andre had an incestuous gay relationship? Or... I don't know, because he was like, it's talking about how Claude, like, got mad at the kid that his brother fucked. And, yeah, so that was confusing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do you see what I mean about how, like, there's no, like, temporal rationality to any of the sentences? Yeah,
I guess maybe you're right. I don't know. And then she talks about how he lives in New Orleans. And, Sylvester Stallone thinks that he is I'm sorry, Steven Seagal. I'm sorry, Steven Seagal. You're a martial.
He's fine.
You're a martial arts fraud, and I'll hate you for that. But like, sorry, you don't believe in past lives. As far
is
as
that
I
your
know.
other podcast, Martial Arts Frauds? Just your
Dude,
exposing.
I would love to do, because man, there's so many people who purport to be these masters of martial arts and like masters of knife defense and like, oh, I can just touch you and you're gonna fall over, and it's, oh my god, I really want to say like 80% of all martial arts shit is bullshit. Like, so many people just not actually doing a thing that's a real martial art. Like, oh my god. Anyway, John Travolta, Stevie Nicks, Tina Turner. Tina Turner thinks she was Hatshepsut, which is interesting.
Of course.
Elton John, yep, you're right about that. Martin Sheen.
It's always like you're
George
something
Patton.
cool in a past life, right? It's not like, I remember my
Yeah.
past life, I was a shit swallower for a living. We
Actually-
just swallowed shit all day.
Well, no, Elton John thinks that he was just a bus driver in London, so that was kind of funny.
That's kind of like a shit swallower, so I'll take that.
Oh yeah, and then she starts getting into, okay, so this is fucking philosophy and quantum physics hour. So if any of you are familiar with Western philosophy, the concept of idealism appears here, and it's apparently very close to some aspects of quantum theory. So she talks about, like, all right, one of the things she kind of gets wrong is she talks about colors. She says, through classical science, we've developed an understanding of brain function. It's now common knowledge that hearing, vision, smell, and sensation all take place in separate areas of the brain. But the leap from neural functioning to conscious experience still remains a mystery. For instance, although it is known that when a certain color comes to consciousness, a particular set of neurons will fire in response, scientists still cannot explain why that happens. And it's like, well, animals like humans perceive color to better navigate their world for survival. Like, we kind of know why. Like, I don't know. It's another one of those moments where she's like, yeah, this is mysterious. It's like, I don't know, it's not that mysterious. Like, it seems like it makes sense.
She's getting the whole, like, evolution thing backwards, as if, like, color has some intrinsic meaning to, like, why the colors are that way, when it's just the certain way that a creature's photon receptor organs are processing things to their brain. Because I'm totally colorblind. I see colors like pretty way differently than everyone else. It doesn't mean that like I'm missing some fundamental truth about the universe or how things are supposed to work. It's just because my perceptors are wired differently.
Yeah.
Which means previously I probably wouldn't be able to survive as well, so that gene wouldn't get passed on.
Right.
Because the people that see, when I say normal, I just mean the most average ones that happen, that perception is the one that increases survivability.
Yeah, and I mean, and then she moves on to say, like, talk about quantum mechanical experiments. She said one of the first, and perhaps one of the most significant, was one that showed that light could exist either as waves or subatomic particles, photons. And so she's like, oh, so subatomic light can exhibit the characteristics of either waves or particles, but not at the same time. And she seems to think that, like, this means that objects can be both permanent and non-permanent and like non-physical, but like, I mean, while wave particle duality exists, I don't think it means anything for how humans perceive objects. Like, I think that she was kind of stretching there. I mean, quantum theory is still evolving, so like maybe something will come of this, because I mean, quantum theory is like it's a fringe science, and some of these people she talks about are like the fringe scientists of that fringe science. So like, this is stuff that is so theoretical, like it's, I mean, I don't even know if it's worth the average person really like understanding.
I think
or
that's
perceiving.
why there's like a lot of charlatans that like jump to this, because they hear the like, oh, anything can be anything until you observe it like idea, and they take that to mean like, well, anything can be anything I want it to be until
until it's proven
I
otherwise,
decide
right?
not. Yeah,
and I mean that's kind of like Berkeley's idealism. Like I was saying, we were going to talk about philosophy. Idealism is kind of the same. It's similar in that with idealism, that includes like there's no belief in the physical. Like, everything is an idea. We are all an idea in the mind of God, or we are all just ideas. We aren't, we don't have physical form, and the only reason we do is because we think we do, basically. So,
I'm just a dream floating on a memory. I played Final Fantasy X. I know how this goes.
Did you say you played Final Fantasy X?
Yeah, there's a weird character thing. They're actually dreams interacting. I'm not going to hear talk about Final Fantasy X. Fuck that.
So anyway, so basically, this lady thinks that quantum theory mechanics prove the existence of a soul or the non-existence of physical bodies. And so I thought this was total crackery. Okay, so I thought this was total crackery. And I'm not totally convinced, but I do feel that I learned some very interesting things when I did this research. So Max Planck, he's sometimes referred to as like the father of quantum theory. He posited that consciousness is not dependent on a physical body and can indeed live on as an energy stream that can then be absorbed by another entity. But that was just something he said. Whether or not that was observed, I don't know, and I highly doubt it was, because I feel like if that was observed, it would have been the biggest scientific discovery in the last, 100 years. But, there's this guy, Jim Tucker, who has been collecting stories of past lives from children for decades, or a couple decades now. And that was interesting. He thinks reincarnation is possible because he thinks that consciousness is energy on a quantum subatomic level, which is contained in our bodies and not part of them. So, according to these quantum theorists, consciousness is like a sandwich you ate in a past life. It's not really a part of you, but it fuels you.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's
like
a fantastic metaphor.
like
there.
that's kind of. Or
I
like,
had this Reuben 1 billion years ago, and it still touches my stomach to this day.
Or like consciousness is like a sneeze from somebody else that you can catch and you might remember. If we continue with the sneeze metaphor, you might catch the memory cold, but usually these things fade as you age. So like, you can catch a consciousness sneeze or like a memory cold from somebody else if they sneeze next to you. But as
Dave, you sneezed your shitty third birthday party all over me again.
Yeah, that's kind of,
I have to remember that time you shit your pants. Oh, God damn it, Dave.
I'm
sorry, I have a memory cold.
But like that, I mean, that's kind of the best way I could think of explaining what I was reading. So I mean, obviously it's very interesting to think about, but like, we've never observed any of these things. This guy Tucker, though, all the stuff that all these like anecdotes he's curated, it's really interesting. I would recommend reading about that, actually. So I don't know, I'm now suddenly fascinated by quantum theory and quantum mechanics, and I need to go listen to some Michio Kaku lectures. So Remanon Last, like, she in this book talks about the survival of consciousness as having a lot more intent than any of these quantum theorists do. So, like, she thinks that children choose their parents, and that consciousness can choose a specific person to inhabit next. And that is not something that's part of, like, quantum theory or anything that, like, Tucker or Max Planck ever did. So, yeah, she definitely is really squishing stuff together here to try to make her case.
How does that make this? So, like, the soul that exists beyond bodies, that gets trapped in some bodies sometimes, decides to go into these bodies but doesn't retain really much of the past like, maybe you get some memories here and there, but besides that, what effect, like, who cares?
Yeah,
Why does it even matter?
Because, well, according to her, it matters because you can, like, improve yourself as you go through these new lives. So it's very similar to, like, Eastern ideas about reincarnation and reaching nirvana. So there's that.
But if you can't remember your other lives in full, like, what is that? You're just starting from almost zero every time, right? Like,
So what? I don't know.
So that doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea. But anyway, some more fun quantum mechanics stuff. Apparently, Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff have something called, they developed something called an orchestrated objective reduction theory. It's called the OR theory. It tries to provide a description and explanation of the soul through quantum mechanics. So I would like to check that out at some point. But then, I don't know. And then there was, like, this really interesting article I read about how these ideas about consciousness kind of, like, living on, it's sort of true from like a genetic point of view. So there's something called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, and that's when a parent's life experience can have effects on their offspring through genetic mutations, like caused by drug use or exposure to certain like extreme environments or like physical trauma. So things that happen to you in your life can actually change your DNA, and that can then be passed on to your children. And in that way, you're kind of like inheriting, the past, but that's directly related to your family lineage. And same with like Lamarckian inheritance. That's when, somebody, well, not somebody, it also applies to animals, but they can pass on an acquired characteristic to offspring, instead of like things that actually affect their DNA, which is a little more mystifying because that's like, those are usually more superficial characteristics, but that can happen sometimes. So yeah. Anyway, I think that this lady's ideas have a little more basis in reality than I thought, because I was being, admittedly, kind of a judgmental asshole. But I still think that I still don't believe any of this. Like, it would take a lot for me to really be converted to somebody who thinks that consciousness survives.
I see zero lines connecting quantum mechanics with reincarnation at all, besides that whole idea that like anything can be anything, therefore all energy can be any converted energy type. I just don't see the through line at all. Maybe to the soul thing, sure, a little bit, but I don't understand how I don't see any connection.
Like I said, it would take quite a bit for me to be totally convinced, but yeah.
But I don't see even the first connection. Like I don't see the first goddamn line connecting. Well, you see some very tiny particles are very hard to detect, and exactly the nature of them are hard to observe without affecting them.
And I think that's her point, is that consciousness could be one of those things, could be a subatomic particle or set of particles that we perhaps cannot perceive yet. I think that's where she was going, and that's where quantum theory goes. But anyway.
That seems dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But anyway. I found the answer to how these stories are connected. Remember when we were like, how the fuck did she figure out that this story, like, was Trent? So Trent's great-great-uncle was named Claude Lorraine Reznor. So she thinks that the demon story is about Claude Lorraine Reznor.
All right.
His ancestor. Yeah.
So the fucking spirit of Zero can't even travel far beyond the family or something? Like,
yeah.
That's a lazy spirit, man.
Oh, yeah.
On the quantum level, like, find someone, like, there's billions of people.
Oh my god, she makes this ridiculous assertion about how Claude had a flair for showmanship, and he would like exhibit horses, and clearly it's obvious that he's living on in Trent, because Trent also exhibits human freaks for profit when he went on tour with Marilyn Manson. And I was like, that is a gratuitous and absurd stretch. Like, he went on tour with Manson and a sideshow, and the sideshow did their thing, and like, yeah, they probably had some weird groupie stuff happen, but like, he wasn't showing like the bearded lady in a ring like a horse. Like, that's not what was happening. And I just thought that was
Stretch Armstrong arm broke off long ago.
Yeah, I just thought that was a very weird stretch that she made in the fucking book. Oh yeah, and then you find out, unfortunately, where the name of this book comes from. It's from Hurt, actually. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear. You are someone else. I am still right here. Ta-da!
Which is her, like, one of her major proofs of, like, Trent being aware of his reincarnation for some reason.
And I heard a note that said, I could totally see being really drunk or high and thinking this was confirmation of my crazy past life theories. So, like, if you're, like, really fucking bonked out of your mind and you're like, oh, yeah, he's telling me you're someone else. Fuck, right. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, nope. This shouldn't have been written. I'm sorry.
It's really bad. I did find it interesting that Chuck Palahniuk, who authored, Fight Club, Invisible Monsters, Diary, a bunch of other shit. Apparently, he listens to Nine Inch Nails records when he writes, like, obsessively. Apparently, when he wrote Lullaby, he listened to the Fixed CD over and over again. I guess when he wrote Fight Club, he listened to Downward Spiral over and over again. Blah, blah. So that was interesting, because I like Chuck Palahniuk. Well, I don't like all of his books, but I do generally like him. And then she gives a fucking housewife horoscope thing. Like, what the fuck was that about? What was that about?
It just lets you know what Tauruses are like at the end of the book, because, we had to slap one more Wikipedia article on at the end here to make this fucking ramshackle house stand up.
We had to slap one other fucking stupid new age fucking garbage thing on here. Like, so, like, all of a sudden, and that's the other thing, is, like, this book doesn't flow. Like, she ends this part about, like, Chuck Palahniuk, listening to Nine Inch Nails while he writes, and then immediately the next sentence is, although natal horoscopes have largely been reduced to the realm of the ridiculous by popular newspapers and magazines. Like, what?
The very, very last paragraph
What?
is like the Damon Sigmund going like, "Hi, I'm Sigmund. Nice to meet you. You should believe me."
Wait, what?
Like the very last paragraph is like
way.
another. Read the line. It says Sigmund at the very end. And he's like, "Hello,
Wait.
you should believe me, humans.
Wait.
I'm a
Wait.
demon."
Wait, no. I don't...
Like the second to right before the about the author section. There's a little...
she also talks about how Carl Jung said he had a demon named Philemon, and that's also not true. Oh my god, you're right. Okay, I gotta read this.
Yeah, it's like a little paragraph.
I am Sigmund, chosen by Remanon as her companion, her daemon for this life. Our relationship has perhaps stretched the boundaries placed between the one incarnate and their spirit consort, but I believe it to be right. All is changing between the worlds. No one enters life without one such as I. Daemon, angel, spirit guide are just some of the names by which us non-human companions are known. Western sensibility discourages a belief, dismissing our existence as psychological imaginings. However, the angelic reality does exist. Indeed, it is an integral part of the fabric of the universe.
Yeah, that's the last thing in the
Wow.
book.
Wow.
I like your voice, by the way, which started out kind of Captain Kirky and then turned into something else completely.
It did whatever. I can read the about the author section. In 1998, Remanon last returned to the UK after living in Ontario, Canada for 26 years, where she bred and trained Arabian horses. For several years, she made her home in mid-Wales, living an idyllic, if rather bohemian life, with her daughter and now ex-son-in-law. However, even very good things sometimes come to an end, and she has now set out to find a new way of life in Bulgaria. British-born, she inherited her love of all things equine from her father, along with other rather earthy abilities. Whilst he could charm warts and heal wounds with a few words and some masking tape, she can, amongst other things, communicate with those residing in the spirit world. What brings her joy? My family. Our animals, cats, always. Horses, of course. Books and more books. Cooking and preserving and gardening. Searching out beautiful old things. Music, although an awful lot of music can drive me to distraction. Charity shops, auction sales, and open gardens. Ancient places. Good and vigorous discussions. Small galleries. Handcrafted things of all kinds. Open minds. Remanon last.
Why does it go from third to first person?
I don't know. Like... She doesn't know what tenses are or what fucking perspectives are. Yeah, her bibliography includes a book called Yesterday's Children, another one called Beyond the Ashes: Cases of Reincarnation from the Holocaust, a third one, The Self-Aware Universe, number 4, In Search of the Dead, number 5, Discovering the Soul, and number 6, The Conscious Universe. That's it. Yeah, don't read this. Read,
yeah, it was a waste of our time.
Don't read it. Please just, read articles about quantum theory, quantum mechanics. That shit was really interesting, and I am, super into reading more about that now. Like I said, I've listened to some, Michio Kaku lectures and stuff. He's a really cool scientist who's mostly pretty easy to understand. I don't know, sometimes he kind of...
He's a little bit
off,
pie in the sky sometimes.
Yeah, but I like him. And, I don't know. So quantum theory and quantum mechanics and quantum physics, all really cool. Read about that shit. Also, if you want to know about Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, just read the Wikipedia articles on those things.
It'll do you a much better job, and you won't have to deal with, cool-sounding Trent quotes in the middle of it, where he's like, yeah, I like the record label, fuck them.
Yeah. Again, I really think that what Miss Lash should have done was to have not put these things together. I just really think that if she had put some more effort into it and fleshed it out, I think the other story could have been marketable to some people, because, I think that while in this presentation, it was really fucked up and didn't really... we were confused about who was what and what happened, but I think if she actually sat down and wrote it into a full story, people would be into it. People like that overwrought, romantic, dramatic soap opera bullshit set 300 years ago. That's isn't that what fucking Jane Eyre and the Bronte sisters and all that shit's all about anyway?
I mean, that was like more during their time, so it was kind of contemporary, I would say, for them.
Yeah,
but at the same, here's a question for you: would you have wanted her to like wrote out that whole story, fleshed out more, and at the very end be like, and then Claude was reincarnated as Trent Reznor?
No, these two things need to be separated forever, please. Like, God,
like that's the twist ending. Or
no. And I mean, if she wanted to do a biography on Trent Reznor, I mean, she should have just done that and did a separate. I mean, I don't really think that. I guess for me,
instead of batting a ring in between pendulums like a cat.
Yeah, like, well, I think the thing for me is like I don't feel like a Trent Reznor biography I don't feel like she needed to do it. I mean, is there already one that exists? I'm gonna check the internet real quick because I didn't actually look at that.
I mean, once again, like a Wikipedia article probably.
Oh my
suffices.
God, her fucking book is the thing that comes up when you fucking type that in.
Oh wow,
Jesus. Yeah. Okay. So the world does
Good SEO
need
for her.
Yeah. The world does need a Trent Reznor biography, apparently, because the only one that really comes up is this fucking thing. But yeah, honestly, I don't know that it's super needed because, like I said, just read random internet articles and it has the same information in it. But yeah, I just think that these two things should have been separate efforts. And I think that even if she feels in her heart of hearts that she communicated with a demon and got this story, I just don't think that this is the way that she should have let the world know about that. I feel like she should have just made these two stories, published them separately, and then maybe talk to her friends about this demon and like not put it in a published work because it just makes her seem crazy and it just makes people not read it. I feel like it's
yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So I think that's it for this episode too. We got to do our usual spiels here, but
yeah. So I guess we can start by saying where we exist on the internet. So we're basically on every podcasting platform known to man. So check us out on Radio Public, Stitcher, iTunes, Blurbery.
Catch us on a ring in between three tripods.
Yeah. We are on pendulums, dowsing rods. We're just everywhere. Find us everywhere. Find us inside of a crystal. No, but
help us, please. Help us. We've been in prison.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and we now have an Instagram that I try to update regularly. I guess we should probably put like videos up of us recording or something. But anyway, we are right after this recording some extra Patreon content. So if you would like to become a patron, you can get access to us doing Mystery Science Theater styled watchings of shitty material that's related to Terrible Book Club material. So for the $4 tier, you can watch the Maradonia movie with us and listen to our commentary. I think that's a great one. And then, do we want to tell people?
Real quality piece.
Do we want to tell people what we're doing tonight?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So tonight we're watching the first two episodes of The Legend of the Seeker, the series that was created after the. Oh my God! I almost said the Wheel of Time. After the.
Sword of Truth.
The Sword of Truth series, of which we read two of... I can't talk. We read two of the books from fucking Sword of Truth, and now we're fucking watching the thing about them, okay? I can't talk. I haven't really eaten dinner. I've had sweet tarts and some veggie sticks and queso, and I've walked like 10 miles today, and my body is dying.
I love veggie sticks. They're so good.
Dude, they have fucking jalapeno ones now. I fucking got those.
Shit.
Dude, they're so good. I know. I love veggie straws. Veggie straws, veggie sticks, any kind of veggie chip thing. Oh, man. Put it in my mouth. I also had some watermelon. And, sorry, I need to eat food.
Thanks for Paris's diet journal right here.
It's pretty fucked up.
Hey, we have to thank our patrons.
Oh my God, we can say that plural now. We have a plurality of patrons. Thank you for hearing my pleas, universe. So thank you, Dari, who is our first and most awesome patron for sticking. Yeah, OG patron sticking with us for this long. And also thanks to Greg, our newest patron. So thanks, Greg. We're very excited to have you on board this horrible shit train of literature. Go to our Patreon, sign up. Dude, give us like $4 once and watch this shit. It's totally worth it. It's super entertaining, I promise you. Especially the Maradonia one.
Oh, that's a gem.
yeah,
Even if you don't like our commentary, just watch it with the audio off.
Yeah, you can just shut us off and just enjoy the film. Yeah, I guess that's it. I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I'm having trouble remembering because my brain is dying due to lack of nutrition. So, I guess we're gonna sign off, and I'm gonna slink away into the kitchen and eat some snacks, and then Chris and I are gonna watch The Legend of the Seeker. And if you subscribe to us on Patreon, you will also be able to watch it and hear our commentary.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So you go get your snacks. I'll go get also snacks, I guess. I was trying to think of a rhyme.
You're gonna get closer to some snacks.
Yeah,
I can't do the fucking noise.
Gonna
tried.
Eat them like a
animal. Also like an animal.
No, I'm gonna eat a bunch of Danimals. The yogurt is delicious.
No, Danimals is so gross. What's wrong with you? That's not even proper yogurt.
It's some kind of yogurt something. That's what
I'm crying about this. Why am I crying? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, all right, Paris. See you later.
Okay.